Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Smart Trucking Live. Glad you could all join us today. James Cheeks is here. Good afternoon from Fayetteville, North Carolina. That's James. Shannon's here from Casper, Wyoming. Always glad to see you, Shannon. Thank you for joining us today. How is it out there? Is the weather cleared up at all? I guess it's still fairly chilly. It'll be winter in Wyoming by now. John M. is here from Pennsylvania. Kelly Patterson's here. He's coming in from Newton, Iowa today. Muppet is here. Container Guru is here. Paul Hudson is here. Paul's in northern Illinois today. Container Guru. Good evening, Smart Trucking Dave. I still wish you traveled the lower 48. I'd buy you a meal just to chat. Listening to you and hearing stories reminds me of my dad and my uncles talking. Container Guru, I do miss trucking. I do miss running down there and stopping for dinner and chatting with friends and stuff like that. I would have loved to have done that with you. Although, half the restaurants are apparently closed these days, so it'd be a little trickier, but I do miss it. I'll give you that. Riley says, good afternoon from Iowa, Dave and Kathy. How are you doing? We're doing well, thanks. And Shannon, by the way, how are you feeling? I believe you told us you had contracted COVID last time we were on, so I want to know how that's working for you, how you're doing. Kyle's in Canby, Oregon. Hey, Kyle. We're all doing well here. Grilled Mortal is here. They just launched a Swift truck into space to hit the only thing they have not hit, an asteroid. Well, with Swift's luck, they'll miss the damn thing. The only thing we needed them to do right, and they'll miss it. You watch. What else is going on here? There's Oscar in Wisconsin. Hey, Oscar, how are you, man? Chad's in Pennsylvania as well. Fred Bismer's here. Good day from Rawlins, Wyoming. Starting to snow in Rawlins. Fred's back on the road after being at home for a change there last week. So just be careful, Fred. I know you know what you're doing, though, so I'm not worried. But I actually enjoyed winter in Wyoming. That's a pretty area in the wintertime. Paul Hudson, Rochelle, Illinois, Petro. Iron Skillet is open from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Don't know if they have the buffet yet. That is one of the better Petros in Rochelle, in my opinion, too, and one of the better Blue Beacons up there as well. I didn't get through Rochelle very often, but it was good every time I was there. Bass Head is in Lima, Ohio. Babin Deep says hello. Maxwell's in New Mexico, another pretty part of the country. Emerald Preet, hey guys. Hey Emerald. Preet, how are you doing? James Cheeks, some pilots and Flying J's closing the showers because not enough staff to clean them. Isn't that a sad state of affairs, eh? I don't even know what to say about that other than that's a sad state of affairs. Andrew Howe, good afternoon from Tennessee. 66 degrees Fahrenheit there. It's actually not that bad even up here. It's above freezing still for this time of year, which is good for us. So not too bad. Jordan's here from South Dakota. Good day to haul fuel. Raymond's here. Merry Christmas from Commerce City, Colorado. Merry Christmas, Raymond. A little bit early, but we'll get into it here. Today's stream, we thought we'd take a bit of a kickback and talk about everybody's favorite everythings in trucking, in the career of trucking. And I thought we'd start with the favorite restaurants or restaurant meals rather. Favorite truck stops that you like, where if you could park anywhere for the night and have the meal that you wanted, where would you be right now? Where would you be and what would you be eating? And I'll tell you what mine is. Out of all the places in the States to stop with really good food, I'd have to say that my favorite is the Big Texan in Amarillo, Texas, and I would be having a ribeye steak right now. That would be my favorite meal and my favorite place to have it. So Amarillo, at the Big Texan. But tell me, guys, what are some of your favorite places to stop and eat your favorite meals? We're going to check on that. Kyle says it's 38 degrees Fahrenheit where he is. Andrew Pfeiffer, hey Dave, I just applied for a job driving the ice roads. Andrew, way to go. Andrew, that you'll have to keep us posted on that. We had a friend of ours here, maybe a year ago now, talking about his ice road experience. You'll have to keep us posted on how you make out up there. That's a once in a lifetime experience. We'll be curious to know your progress. Interesting type of trucking to do. Everett says, I am outside Crashville, Tennessee to drop a trailer and going to Bobtail back into Charlotte, North Carolina. Well, that's kind of as long as they're paying you by the miles, why not? James Cheek says he agrees with the Big Texan. I've had some fabulous meals there. I really have. So I can't think of a better place to stop and eat. Man. Humble Guy Jin says, cliche, but the Iowa 80 truck stop diner and a big plate of spaghetti. They do put up a good meal at the I-80. They do. Now, I've heard this too. Kelly Patterson, Jubit's in Portland, Oregon, and eat their potato skins dish. Jubit's has had an excellent reputation for really good food for years and years now. It is maybe the premier place for truck drivers to eat on the West Coast. Yeah, good call there, Kelly. Where else do we do? Here's Shannon. I always tried to find a small diner that was local if I could find a place to park. The food was always good in the smaller places. And the smaller greasy spoons, he says. But those mom and pop truck stops were always really good. You have trouble finding them anymore. There was one in Fort Macleod, Alberta, that I used to stop at every time I was through there years ago, and the lady that owned the place, her name was Josie, and man, she made the best food. I'm sure she and that place are long gone anymore, but I remember, and it was a mom and pop place. Muppet. Moorland near Taree, best in Oz. I'm gonna have to chew on that one, Muppet. I know you mean something, but I haven't figured out what you mean yet. But Moorland near Taree. Here's Container Grew. Anywhere the food is homemade. All the food in these mega chains is crap. Yeah, I would eat in the Petros because I thought they had the best on the road food as a chain, but it never compared to the mom and pop places. Daniel Meredith, I-81 Petro in North Carolina is all right with massive parking space, that's half the battle is getting a parking spot at some of these places anymore. But yeah, that 81 Petro North Carolina does have a good meal put down there. Lots of guys that run the Seaboard stop there. Basshead, keep the videos coming. Really learned a lot. Thank you. Basshead, sir, thank you for saying so. We appreciate it. We will keep the videos coming. But yeah, I would agree with a couple of the guys here. Oh, here's John. Says Perry's in North Carolina. The crab soup and pecan pie. Perry's in North Carolina. I don't believe I've ever had crab soup. That sounds good, though. Okay, there's John's favorite spot. We'll remember that. Perry's in North Carolina. Thank you for that, John. Dane, I'm a fan of the Cowboy Cafe in Wyoming. Whereabouts in Wyoming is that, Dane? Shannon will know it for sure. It's not ringing a bell with me. It sounds familiar, but I can't place where it would be. But yeah, lots of. Babandeep Singh says, curry naan bread, homemade at the Petro in Gary, Indiana. No kidding. Actually, you know what? That Petro in Gary is actually pretty good, but I'd never tried their naan bread. Good to know. But generally, I found the Petros had the best on the road food overall. But if you could get a spot like the Big Texan, that's where I'd hit. Also, good food comes out of sleeper berth area of my truck. Kelly Patterson, yes, Kelly, and we've got a few of your recipes. They are good. They really are. You'd have a hard time fitting us all in your bunk, though. Boise Stage Shop, just east of Boise, Idaho on 84. Excellent food and service. That's from Jay Holzer, and I have been in there, and that is good food in there. Little America, exit 68, double cowboy burger and a 75-cent ice cream cone. Lee Harvey. I've eaten there many times. That was the only place I could ever find truck stop that served French onion soup, and I really liked their French onion soup. Sheridan, Wyoming, says Shannon. Great food in Sheridan, Wyoming. Good to know.
That place that you said
is
in Sheridan?
Oh, Shannon's saying where the Cowboy Cafe is. It's in Sheridan, Wyoming. Appreciate it, Shannon. Thank you. I don't think I've been there. I've been through Sheridan, but I don't think I've been in there. Richard says, US 54 truck stop in Mullinville, Kansas. Little hole in the wall, but very good. Richard, thank you. Mullinville, Kansas. Okay, let's move on to the next thing we have on our list, and it's kind of connected. What's your favorite truck stop chain or truck stop? And can be not just for the food, but for the fuel or the shop or whatever. And as I was saying, I used to use the Petros. I found them, I liked them the best. They usually had lots of parking. You could almost get a parking spot anytime. They generally had pretty good shops, and they generally had pretty good restaurants and clean showers. So I was a Petro truck stop guy, and I liked their point system. So didn't really either. Some of the Petros were better than others, of course.
That's where all my birthday presents and Christmas presents came from the points at the Petro.
Yes, Kathy did get a lot of presents from the Petro. It's hard to get in with a semi to go shopping at the mall, so she got a lot of her gifts from the Petros, and I would use the points. But yeah, I'd have to say the Petro truck stops were my favorite chain, and I tried to. I don't know. There's some of them like the Pilot. I was never a fan of the Flying J, but then when Pilot bought out Flying J, I thought the Pilots even went downhill, and I don't know why that would be, and maybe it's just me, but and I didn't like the Flying J restaurants. They took a step up when they moved Denny's in, but I understand now Denny's is gone out of there. But I stuck to the Petros because you could count on having good food. Hummel Gauge In says, it's got to be Love's. That line of hearts leaning to goodness. Yeah, Love's is a good chain. Certainly better than Pilot or Flying J, I'd say. But there are not as many of those around. But they're getting to be more and more. So it's not as hard to find them as they were. Jeff says I-80 in Walcott, biased because I'm from Iowa, but I love that place. Too many stops, but still say I-80 is my favorite. And it's technically, I guess, a TA, but yeah, that's a great truck stop. I really liked Walcott, and I really liked the Petro in Joplin, two of my favorites. Josh says Quick Trip or Quick Star, my absolute favorite. Now, Josh, and you can tell me if this is the case, but I've always been told Quick Trip had really good coffee. And I've had coffee in there once in a while, but everybody says consistently the coffee is really good at those places. Kathy did not get any armor from Love's. Dave, no wonder she was mad. I know. I guess I should have shopped at Love's. I was shopping at the Petro most of the time. Best Petro is Reno, Nevada. Fresh cut ribeye steaks. That's from Richard. Petro. Oh yeah. I kind of forget about that place. That was fairly new. There was Sierra Sid's on the other side of the highway, but I always stopped at Boomtown, And then now it's gone. But I have been into that Petro once or twice. I had to think about that. But yeah, I don't believe I ever ate in there though. Oh, good to know then, Richard. Thank you. Pilot is the Volvo of truck stops. That's from Jeff. Musical Gap Attack. Quick Trip in Wisconsin has the best coffee ever. All right. Good to know. Coffee's important to truck drivers. Where else? Edward says, I always like to stop at the TAs and the Petros, but now I would say the best chain is Love's. The downside is that the parking stinks. Yeah, there's a ton of money in real estate at those great big Petros and TAs for parking. You know, that's a lot of money to spend, so you can hardly blame them for trying to do what they can afford. Walmart is the best truck stop. You can find everything there. Thunderstorm 87. Yeah, you know what? Walmart is a pretty damn good truck stop. Some of the Walmarts now, though, don't want truck drivers there in the parking lot, which is a shame because I would hit all the Walmarts I could. There's a good one. Petro in Albert Lee, Minnesota. That's from Jay Holzer, and it is a smoking good restaurant. We did a video on the one in Albert Lee, and we did a video on that one up in Minnesota too. Another smoking restaurant. But yeah, Albert Lee is an excellent truck stop. Humble Guy Jim, there's a place in California called Hallelujah Junction. Nice little independent truck stop. Huh? That does ring a bell too. Whereabouts in California is it? That is ringing a bell with me. But it's nice, boy. You know, trucking is hard. And when you find a good place to eat at the end of the day, it just kind of makes the whole day seem worthwhile. I always look forward to landing in a nice truck stop at night and having a good solid meal. I was not a fast food guy. I know that's the big thing these days, but I prefer to sit-down restaurant. Let's move on. Favorite destination to truck to. So if you've got a load and you could take it wherever you wanted to take it, what would your favorite destination be? Or it can be your favorite place to load as well. But what's your favorite destination when you're trucking? And I'll tell you what mine was. Believe it or not, it was Salinas, California. I liked going to Salinas. It was just a small little town. A lot of guys didn't like loading produce, but I did. I had no problem with it. I worked for a really good buyer. I think that was half the secret. So I never sat at a cooler very long at all. They were all really good to me up there. But I liked Salinas, California. You could if you knew the town, you could always find a place to park. I used to park in a motel parking lot on the east side of the highway over there, and I parked there for years. I could always get a spot, and it was a safe little town too. I liked Salinas. What are some of your favorite destinations? Salinas was mine, certainly. Shamu says they have good tacos in Salinas. Yeah, you know what? I was never into tacos, but that's interesting. They had a guy called the Pizza Man that would drive around to the different coolers in Salinas. I bought an awful lot of pizzas off of him. So did the Lettuce King. We bought a lot of pizzas off that guy. And I think he was just buying them at Pizza and then flipping them and selling them to us at the coolers. But we loaded up on those every time we were in Salinas. Now, here's Musical Gap Attack, and I've asked for favorite destinations, and he says, you'll think I'm lying, but anywhere in New York City. I love the challenge. Musical Gap Attack, you're a braver man than I am. Congratulations to you. That's probably the last place I would choose, but good for you. And they need people that tackle that Eastern Seaboard with that attitude, so, man, good for you. Here's Humble Guy Jen, Bridgeport, California. Used to be stationed out there. Gorgeous. I'm not familiar with Bridgeport, but that whole coastline is gorgeous. I don't think they let you run a truck up the A1A anymore, but But it's all pretty out there. Love the Mojave Desert. That's from David Ellefson, and so do I. There's so much of the U.S. that's pretty, you know. It's a gorgeous country. So it's tough to pick just one favorite destination because there's all sorts of them that are really, really nice. Shannon says, not Aspen or Telluride. Shannon's clearly not a skier. But yeah, Colorado's pretty. But, you know, I have to say, when I got into Colorado, it was really pretty from a distance. But when you got up close into places like Denver, it wasn't very pretty at all. And you know what? I found that same thing of Las Vegas, Nevada. It looked really pretty at night from a distance, but you get in there, not so nice. Daniel Meredith, driving through Idaho or Montana on I-80 or I-90. Gorgeous. Yes, it is, Daniel. Yeah, that's beautiful countryside. Tim Rushing, Hood River, Oregon. Yes, one of my favorite spots. The highway winds right along the river there. And I used to stay in Troutdale when I was out that neck of the woods, and it was right on the Hood River. Kitimat, BC in the summertime, says Babandeep Singh. BC is a very pretty province. It's in tough shape right now with the flooding there in the western half of the province, but BC is gorgeous. It really is. Not so gorgeous in the winter, unless you're a skier or something like that, or you're stopped and have time to look around. Tough trucking in the winter. Spokane, Washington. That's from Dane. Yeah, Spokane's pretty. I love the mountains. I love the mountains. Salt Lake City, Utah, says Basshead. Yeah, another pretty spot. Again, Salt Lake can be rough if you get into the wrong part of town, but it's a beautiful part of the country. Jay Holzer says, I've only been there once, but the Canadian Rockies are a sight to behold. Yes, they are. Yeah, and they're pretty to drive through. They'll test your skill, but they are pretty to drive through. Shannon says, I like Grand Junction, Colorado. Easy to get around there. I don't think I ever spent any time in Grand Junction. I passed through there, but interesting. James Cheek says, Big Timber. Yeah, I like that whole Oregon area with the Sequoia National Park and up through there. Again, beautiful country. The whole Midwest states in the fall with the corn and all that coming out. That's from Jeff. Yes, it's pretty. My buddy Richard that runs out of Leamington there. He's a farm boy, and that's the kind of scenery he likes. But yeah, it's all nice. Sioux Falls, the Red Eye Bar and Grill. Tim Rushing going back to one of his favorite places to stop. Bassett says Detroit, Michigan. Just joking, he says. Yeah, God, you know, that city, Detroit's been in rough shape for years and years now. It's not as dangerous, I don't think, as it used to be, but still, there's parts of that town you don't want to be in at night. I had the back doors of a trailer shot up in Detroit one night. What else do we want here? Favorite states. Let's go to our favorite states. In the meantime, Matthew Pesco says, I recently stopped at a Phillips truck stop in Forest City, Missouri. I had never been there before. Super cool, old school stop. Forest City, Missouri. Is that on 44, Matthew? Let me know. I'm trying to think if I've been there or not. Huh. I like the old school truck stops. And those are few and far between anymore. Humble Gaijin says Tennessee or Wyoming. Two completely different states at two completely different ends of the country. Both pretty, and Humble Gaijin likes them both. Kelly Patterson's on the Detroit RoboCop thing. That's Detroit at its best when you're watching it on TV rather than being there. Joe says Oregon. He likes Oregon as his favorite state, and it is beautiful. Oregon's beautiful. That whole West Coast really is beautiful, I think. But there's also I like, I think Wyoming is beautiful. For instance, there's so many pretty spots. Montana is my favorite, except during winter, says Jay Holzer.
Daniel Meredith Jr. coming in with the $10 donation. Thank you very much for that, my friend. My thanks for Thanksgiving is for the truck drivers who are delivering food and goods, and also the men and women who serve the country, allowing us to do the things that we love and spending time with family. And thank you for the $10 donation, Daniel.
Hey, thanks, Daniel. And that's a nice thought too. And thinking about getting home for Thanksgiving, I was checking the weather forecast, and really the weather looks pretty good for just about everybody to get home for Thanksgiving. They're expecting some heavy rain along the eastern coast of the U.S., like eastern seaboard, right down south end of the Carolinas, and maybe snow a little bit in the northern parts like Maine. But overall, it looks like good Thanksgiving weekend weather, so everyone can make it home. They won't be trapped on the highway shut down somewhere. But good thought, Daniel. Appreciate that. David Lopez says California is his favorite state, and I think that's my favorite state too. Shannon says, beautiful, you say. The wind was 80 miles an hour plus here at my house. That's Shannon's in Casper there. You know what, though, Shannon? I love sleeping in Wyoming because the wind would just rock the trailer back and forth, put you right to sleep, just like being in a baby carriage. I love sleeping in the wind in Wyoming. Not so good if you're trucking into a headwind. Kelly Patterson says, touring Oregon upriver in a jet boat along the Oregon coast in August. You get wet all day tour. I'd love to do that, though. I'd love to try that. Kathy says she wishes I would. I think she wants me to leave now. She's hoping one of the crab boats runs over my jet tour boat, and that'll be the end of me. David Elfson says doesn't care for the mountains much, but he loves the desert. And I do too. I used to spend my winters loading lettuce in Yuma, Arizona, that area. And it is pretty down there too. Different type of scenery altogether. Juka says, greetings from Finland. Well, that's a hike. That's a trip across the pond. Greetings to you, Juka. Thank you for joining us.
Tim Russian coming in with the 20 bomb. Thank you very much for that, my friend. Really appreciate that. Hey, if you have any questions you want to toss in the chat, we'll be sure to read them out. Thank you for the 20.
Hey, thanks, Tim. Appreciate it. Shannon says sometimes he worries about me. He's suggesting that I might not have all my marbles in the right spot every once in a while. I think you could find people here that would agree with you, Shannon.
We need to talk, Shannon.
I might have to go move in with Shannon. They might kick me out of here.
He might not want you.
Yeah, he might not. I could live in his backyard or something, maybe. Kelly Patterson says it's called Jerry's Jet Boat Rides, Gold Beach, Oregon. If I am ever out there again, Kelly, I will look that up because I would love to do something like that. I would love to do something like that. Thank you. Jay Holzer, sadly, Ontario is my least favorite. Getting stuck in a cluster of trucks all governed at 65 miles an hour is the bane of my existence. I'm not going to argue with you. I can't really defend Ontario for that and all the scales that we have here. We calculated out one time, and we had from when I crossed into Canada to get home, it was about 200 miles, and I think it was 5 scales I had to cross in a 200-mile period. Stuff like that just kills trucking for you. So, Jay Holzer says he takes it back. Quebec is worse. Again, I'm going to agree with you because they don't speak English. I never went to Quebec without getting lost. Not ever once. So, yeah, I'd agree with that. What favorite brand of truck do you have? What's your favorite brand of truck? Now, I'll be honest. For myself, I'd call it 50-50 between the Kenworth and the Pete. I don't think I could choose one over the other. So I'd have to say the Packard trucks are my favorite brand of truck.
We're going to put a poll up for that. So
Okay.
go on to your next question.
All right. We're going to put a poll up for the favorite type of truck. So, now here's one that I don't have a favorite of because I never had them, but trucker apps. And I guess there's all sorts of them out there now. But what is your favorite trucker app? And I am no authority on this. So I'd be curious to know what your favorite trucker app is and why it's your favorite, what it does. What do you like about it so much? Blue Ridge Ocean says the drive to Oak Harbor in Washington is an amazing drive, and the sunset at the bridge is just too amazing. Huh. Oak Harbor, Washington. Washington's a beautiful state. Beautiful state. I'd get up there once in a while. I'd just real quick in the season. They had a real short season for cherries up there. But when the cherries were paying big bucks, I used to try to run up to Yakima. And that only happened like maybe once or twice a year. I could get good pan loads of cherries out of there, but I loved going into Washington because it was so pretty. Edward Atarian says Pete is his favorite truck. Okay, Tim Rushing says Trucker Path, good for directions. So is it what's the word? Like a GPS app then, Tim? Because I know nothing about apps. Juka says Scania, of course, is his favorite truck. Dying to drive one of those things. They're awesome trucks, just from what I've seen. And they were supposed to sell them over here, and I got really excited about it. And they never have showed up yet that I've seen for a Class 8 truck out of there. But I'd love to try a Scania, the new style cab over with the great big motor, the 700 plus horse motor. Love to try one of those trucks. There's Josh Pape says Trucker Path is also his favorite, and Tim likes them because they're good for directions. Rand McNally Trucker app. That's from Oscar. Oh, dear. I have lost all my... There we are. What else have we got here? Best semi-truck ever made was the 2012 year International with the Max Force engine. Resale value is great. Never had any issues. Mechanically sound. Interesting from TJ. I never heard anything good about the Max Force engines. So that's an interesting perspective. So we've covered the favorite fuel stops. What is your favorite roller wiener stop? And I guess we're asking this for Mark over at Trucking Answers. I was never a roller wiener guy, but apparently lots of guys like them. So I don't have a favorite stop for roller wieners. But I'd be curious to know where you guys stop for your roller wieners. Then I'd want to know why you stop for roller wieners, I guess. But Dark 688, I saw a job posting for fuel tanker truck driver, pilot Flying J's in Post Falls, Idaho. Beautiful part of the country. And I'm waiting for this survey to pop out of the road here. 91 to 119K a year. Is that for real? Man, that's pretty serious money. But that's trucking direct for a company. It could be real, but I'd be all over that. That sounds like a great job. And hauling fuel, I liked hauling fuel. And Post Falls, Idaho, beautiful part of the country. Hello, Dave. I'm starting CDL school in 2 weeks and hope to graduate before Christmas. Starting day driving beginning of 2022. Your advice has been a big influence in making the decision. Thank you. That's from Southern Indiana Sawmill. Happy to help. Appreciate you saying so. I'm glad you found us helpful. That's one of our major goals. Mark says the manhole has good roller wieners. Here we go. I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole. Loves has the best roller wieners, says Jay Holzer. Wiener Schnitzel restaurants in California, said David Ellefson. Dane likes the W900 look. Yeah, I do too. I like the old 900s better than the new ones. Jay Holzer says, Loves also has the cleanest restrooms until the roller wieners go on sale. Here we go. I was afraid this would happen. I'm not encouraging it. Bassett says, none. I have my own brat maker grill. That's probably, Bassett, that's the safest way to go, I'm sure. I'm sure. All right. What is your favorite type of hat to wear when you're trucking? And I'm sure you all know that my favorite type of hat is a ball cap. Some guys like cowboy hats. Some guys like different things, sun visor type things, but I always like the ball cap myself. Do I watch Gentry and Sons on YouTube? That's from David Ellison. I think I saw one. They're the guys with the cab over, I think. I do believe I saw one of their videos briefly. Tim Rushing says he likes the ball cap. I think most guys go for the ball cap. TJ Jones, Bull in the Woods. I'm just an island boy, just trying to make it. I'm an Ireland boy. Hey, man. Kathy here has got a fair bit of Irish in her. So. Jason Duke says ball cap for him too. Lee Harvey says roller wieners are just as bad as a pack of Marlboros. I'm going to reserve comment on that. I'm sure neither one are particularly good for you. Roller wieners, I was going to say they take longer to kill you, but maybe not. Container Guru. If I want to live dangerously, I'd go to Taco Bell before the roller wieners. Container Guru, I had a nightmare of an experience at Taco Bell years ago. And it was years and years and years before I could ever go back in there. I know what you mean. I'm speaking from the heart there. Snap brim fedora, John M. Now there's a stylish hat you don't see very often. Snap brim fedora. A sweatband. Emo says a sweatband. That's his favorite type of hat. TJ says Spam Weavers wieners microwaved with a string cheese smothered with potted meat. You're scaring me, TJ. You're scaring me. That can't be what they're eating over in Ireland these days. Man. Patty Leather says, damn thing. How much money can American newbie truckers make realistically first year? You know what? That's just going up all the time. But all sorts of new guys first year are making 80 grand or better right now. Matthew Pesco, I love the Flex Fit ball caps. No stupid strap in the back, and it always fits great. Matthew Pesco. I prefer the ones with the strap. I find that the other ones don't seem to fit my pointed head right. I think it's my head that's the problem. It's not the hat. Kelly Patterson. If Kathy has Irish tempered, doses ever scatter when she... If Kathy has the Irish tempered, does everyone scatter when she gets angry? Kelly Patterson, yes, they do. Yes, they do. I can testify to that.
Mind you, the Dutch get pretty pissed too and get really nasty in Dave's Dutch.
The Irish and the Dutch. What a combination that is. It's been interesting. Willie Nelson visor with the fake ponytails. Lee Harvey. I've seen those. Those are hilarious. I've seen ball caps with fake ponytails too, man. Good on Halloween. TJ says he prefers no ball cap. Can you make power only without being away from home and family for weeks? There's there's guys doing that out in California right now that are power only trucks, and I think that's just coming into being. It's kind of a new thing, and Amazon's encouraging it. Frankly, that's where a lot of it's coming from, is Amazon. But guys are getting into that in a big way, and it certainly saves having to buy a trailer. Hi, Dave. Thanks for all your advice you provide. Been on my own all summer and fall. Use my go-to source for advice. I know my limits. I'm back operating snowplow for the winter here in BC. Al Stewart. Way to go, Al. Well, you'll have your work cut out for you operating a snowplow in BC. Pretty country, though. Pretty country. But thanks for following us, Al, and staying with us. Appreciate you reaching out to us. Stay safe this winter. Snowplows, you can't do without the snowplows, especially in BC. What else? What else have we got here? Favorite footwear. Now we've done the ball caps. What's your favorite footwear when you're trucking? And believe it or not, I've known all sorts of guys that like construction boots for trucking or cowboy boots for trucking. A lot of guys like cowboy boots for trucking. I was always kind of a sneakers guy myself, but if the truth be known, I always slipped off my sneakers and drove in my stocking feet. And I had comments from a few DOT guys about that, but never really got into trouble for it. But that was what I liked was sneakers, so I could drive in my stocking feet, get them on and off quick. Y'all need to have some chitlins. That's from Million Miler. Never had that. Never had that. I never spent a whole lot of time down in that neck of the woods to have that, but I never have tried chitlins. I don't even know for sure what they are, what they're made out of. Jay Holzer says cowboy boots. Cowboy boots and wedge boots, says Jordan Hansen. Jeff Sutton says Western boots. Kelly Patterson says, I shave my head, so I use turtle wax as a ball cap. Well, that would keep the top of your head nice and clean and shiny. Anyway, I got to say that. This is TJ Bull in the Woods. I like the Skechers slip-ons with the memory foam, and that's I have a couple pair of those Skechers. I like the Skechers, TJ. So yeah, good catch. Edward says, I like boots, but realistically wearing sneakers, and I wear them in a way so I can slip them off quick. Yeah, that's what I do. Separate slides for inside the sleeper. Yeah, I would take my shoes off at the door and just walk around the whole truck in stocking feet. But yeah, especially you don't want to track dirt into the sleeper if you can help it. Man, one of the maddest times I ever got was Customs. Customs was searching the truck, and I asked the guy to take off his boots before he got into the sleeper to search it, and he just smiled at me, trooped through my bunk with muddy boots. God, I was mad. Fred Besmer, all this talk about food, I'm going to have to stop for dinner at T. Joe's Steakhouse next door to the Sapp Brothers in Cheyenne. Not a bad place to stop. You're making me hungry now, Fred. I didn't mean to divert your attention off your driving, but it is supper time. So you may as well stop at a good spot while you've got one. Oscar says, Oscar's gone. Container Guru says, regular lace-up work boots. Yeah, a lot of guys like those. And even my work boots, I've got them laced up really loose so I can slip them on and off. See if I can find Oscar's comment again here. Red Wings for summer, Keen winter boots. Good choices. Kelly Patterson says regular leather slip ones from Walmart. Yeah, slippers actually. Slippers, and I've known guys that have done that, driven in slippers. And they're easy on and off, you got to say that. David Elson, steel toe for trucking. Van slippers for home. Lots of guys, and a lot of places require steel-toed boots now to go into the warehouse. And I always carried a pair with me in the truck, but I would only put them on if I had to. What are we doing here? What's your favorite radio station? There is something interesting. What's your favorite radio station to listen to? And back when I was trucking, I didn't get satellite radio until near the end of my career. So mostly I was always jumping channels all the time just to find something, anything. And generally, wherever you were, you could almost always find NPR radio. So back in the day, before satellite radio, I'd have to say that probably my favorite radio station was NPR. It was all talk radio back then. I don't know what it's like now. But I like to listen to NPR. What's your favorite radio station out there, boys? Can you think of one that's not satellite radio? 94.5 in Spokane, says TJ. You know what? And because of the mountains all around Spokane, I don't imagine you'd get that for a very long stretch of time, huh, TJ? But whenever you were going through Spokane, that's what you'd tune into. 94.5. David Elfson says podcasts for me. And that's, yep, all sorts of guys are going that way. I've never had a chance yet to listen to a podcast. It's on my to-do list, but I understand some of them are really good. Spotify or stream music via Bluetooth, says Edward. Yeah, there's all sorts of these options that I didn't have when I was out there trucking that are now available. And I think that's a real boon. If you spend all day in the saddle, you might as well have something you can tune in all day long. My Pandora channel, says Jordan Hansen. Pandora channels. I bet you Nick would know what that is. I don't. I just stream my favorite music through my phone. Most newer trucks have Bluetooth connectivity on the radios. That's from Jay Holzer. Stream my favorite music through my phone. Oh, that's cool. That's a good way to do it. Nobody else has said NPR. I've noticed that. Yeah, no, the 94.5 in Spokane. All right. iHeartRadio. Everett says iHeartRadio. And I have listened to. Mark from Trucking Answers has a podcast, says John. Didn't know that. Going to have to find that and figure out how to listen to it. It's on my to-do list. I have yet to hear a podcast. I love listening to NPR and the Bob and Tom show. I like Bob and Tom. This is Dark 688. I miss Prairie Home Companion, but the Bob and Tom show, that was hilarious. And Kathy and I discovered that when we were vacationing in Florida one year, and man, I was a fan ever since. Love the Bob and Tom show. Morano says, what truck driver seat do you recommend? I saw you had the most comfortable brown leather seat in one of your videos. And that's a good topic. What's everybody's favorite seat? Because, man, when you're trucking and sitting in that thing all day, it's got to be comfortable. My seat of choice is a Bostrom Wide Ride 2. And with a low base. And they've got a low base. They're a bigger, softer seat. They're a really nice saddle. I bought mine at Four States in Joplin, and they installed it for me. I was a national seat guy for a long time because that's what came back then. That's what came in Packer trucks were national seats. But a buddy of mine, my buddy out of Leamington, got a wide ride seat, a Bostrom, and I tried that, and I went out and got one myself. No going back. They're a really nice seat. I recommend them to anybody. I don't know if anybody ever bought one of those. They make like a highly computerized sensor seat for about $6,500. I saw them at the truck show in Kentucky one year, but I don't know of any truck drivers that could afford $6,500 seats. But they're supposed to be marvelous. I can't even tell you the name of them now. Edward says, anyone rocking one of those magnetic ones? Yeah, those are the seats, Edward. That's what I'm talking about. I believe they were magnetic. They were a fortune, but they're supposed to be amazing. If you drive a Peterbilt, all you really need is a bucket. Aviator trucker. Seems like all the drivers sit so low that they're like grandmothers in Florida. Aviator trucker. I actually did a video on that because I like a really low base on my seat, but I like it because it elevated my knees, and I busted up my back years ago, and I find it easier on my back if I sit down low. David Ellison says, a seat that massages with heat and air. Never. I've got like heated seats in the car, but I've never had air or a seat that massages you. But that would be nice. I don't know if they make those for trucks. I got to drive a nearly new Kenworth T80. Everything was great, except the seat. I was hurting bad at the end of the day. The new, I don't know if the new Kenworths are still doing this or not, but the last time I looked in those, they had seats by a company called Sears, I think it was. And I sat in it real quick, and I didn't find those comfortable at all. And I don't know if they are still using those. They switched from National to the Sears, and I did not care for the Sears seats. Like, seriously did not care for them. I'm sitting on an OEM freight shaker seat. That's from Edward. And Edward, how is it? How is it? Do you like it? How would you rate it out of 1 to 10? How would you rate that out of 1 to 10? David Olson says Kenworth has massaging heat and air seat. Really? Oh, they've come a long way, but God, a good seat is so important if you're trucking for a living. It can make or break the day for you, the week for you. Jordan says, gotta look cool in the stool. Like I was saying, Jordan, I never worried about looking cool. I just worried about being comfortable. And that low base Bostrom did it for me. And I could put in I shouldn't say this, but I could put in a 900-mile day and not have a sore back at the end of the day. And that was what it was all about for me. And I used to have to do those 900-mile days on a regular basis. We better call Mike Lindell. He's probably making a My Pillow truck seat. He should invest some technology and make some of those seats. I bet you they'd be sellers. Aviator trucker, good suggestion. my Pillow guy. Yeah, I bet you he could make a nice seat. What else? The lumbar support is lacking. Oh, this is back to the Freightliner OEM. The lumbar support is lacking. The air ride doesn't have much movement. The armrests aren't comfortable. Edward, I'm guessing from that testimonial that you wouldn't choose one of those seats as your first choice. But it's funny. Trucking companies like to cheap out whenever they can to keep the price down, and Freightliner's famous for that. So I can believe that they would have a cheap seat in the Freightliner. I'm really not surprised. As long as it goes up and down, that'll be good enough for them. Lee Harvey says, my lazy boy is ready for a 2-year tune-up. Serta wide ride. Richard Spots, he's talking about the Bostroms because it is Serta-foam in that, yes. What is your favorite appliance in the truck? Now, what would you consider the most important appliance? The one you couldn't do without? Would it be the microwave? Would it be the fridge? What would you consider to be the most important appliance in your truck? And for me, I'd have to say the refrigerator. I found it. I didn't eat really in the truck, but I like to keep cool drinks in the fridge and cheese or something like that to make a sandwich. So the fridge was really important to me. I didn't do any cooking, so I didn't need a microwave. But for me, it was the fridge. Couldn't do without the fridge. How about you guys? What's your most important appliance in the truck? Edward Atarian says, my power inverter. Good catch. Yeah. All sorts of guys rely on those things. And I had one in my truck. I hadn't even thought of that. But yeah, very important. A power inverter to guys for all sorts of uses. So good catch, Edward. Good suggestion. Jeff Sutton says the fridge. Muppet says the 12-volt oven. Shannon says the coffee pot. Yeah, Shannon. Good catch there. Edward Atarian says the microwave. Josh Pape says the fridge was his most important. A lot of truckers, this is Jason Duke, a lot of truckers still don't have APUs, so we run them to keep warm or cool. Yep. No, I know. A lot, and everybody did that for years. And then when the APUs first came out, the trick was finding a reliable one. And to this day, I still haven't found one that I've had guys recommend over and over to me that they just thought were greater than sliced bread, the greatest thing. They seem to break down a lot. And even the Thermo Kings. Like my reefers were always Thermo King, always had really good luck with them, but the Thermo King packs don't even seem to be particularly reliable. I've got a Honda generator now that I would stick on mine if I was headed back out again. Lee Harvey says the television, the TV, is his most important appliance. And I didn't have a television so much as I had a TV screen that I could play movies on, and I would buy movies and watch them sometimes at night. But yeah, all sorts of guys like to kick back and watch a little television at night. I had one buddy with a great big bunk, and he had a lazy boy chair that he could swivel. It was mounted in the side of the bunk. He could swivel that and watch a big TV screen that he had mounted overhead in the big bunk, and man, it was like being in a hotel for him. It was cool as hell. Basshead says, definitely the fridge, but now I drive day cab, so I'd say my trucker GPS. Yeah, a little bit of a different style of trucking there when you go from the bunk truck to a day cab. So yeah, your needs would shift. My first APU almost killed my dog. I was bed bugging, unloading a customer's triple-digit heat. The APU shut off and didn't take long for my dog to come near death. Wow, man, can you imagine that? What an awful thing that would be. The APUs, they seem to have their issues. I had one buddy that actually ran an Onan generator on his truck, and he seemed to have pretty good luck with it. It was an expensive piece of equipment, but he had good luck with it. Kelly Patterson, who does his own cooking in the truck, says that he would have to agree with the refrigerator being the most important appliance in his truck. What else have we got here? Favorite type of CB. Now, this is kind of a strange question because not everybody even runs a CB anymore. I recently read an article that stated that I think it was something like 32% of truckers still run CB radios. Man, back when I was trucking, it was 100% everybody ran CB radios. But your favorite type of CB radio, and I guess I should even ask, are you still running CB radios? Mine was a 2510, which was a ham radio basically, and it had all sorts of channels on that thing, and it could talk for miles and miles. And everybody in my group of friends, all ran these big ham radios in the trucks with boots and stuff, and we could talk for miles. And the skip was amazing. If you get the skip on a good night, you could be up on I-80 in Wyoming and listen to there was a guy in Louisiana called the Treetop Station or something like that, and you could talk back and forth on that thing, and if the skip was running right, from Louisiana to Wyoming and back. But what's your favorite type of CB? Jordan says Cobra. Excellent radio, been around for years. All sorts of guys are running Cobras, and frankly, that's what's in my truck now. My 2510 finally burned out after all these years. The crystal display on it went. I took it to Walcott Radio. They couldn't fix it, and I ended up sticking in a Cobra that I had, a booted up Cobra, but that's all I've got now. I have a Striker CB, says Jay Holzer, and I've seen those especially down south on the bottom there, like across 40 and 20, and they're supposed to be a really good radio. I've never had one, but they're really good. Lee Harvey has a Galaxy 10 meter, also an excellent radio. My big tomato buddy runs a big Galaxy these days, and they're awesome radios as well. I like a CB with a frequency counter, and the upper and lower sideband, that was kind of a big thing back in the day, but that's pretty much gone now. But if you can get something with multi channels, that was kind of what I like, because you could find a quiet channel and converse back and forth with your buddies without being interrupted or overheard or anything like that. And that was how we like to run. So we could just talk all day for miles and miles, and even be far apart and still pick each other up clear as day. UHF is a must, says Muppet. What did I read about CBs the other day? That they're going to start running them on an FM band. That the FCC has finally approved CB just in time after half the truckers don't have them anymore. But now they're going to allow FM band CB radios. A little late, but nice idea. Everett says he runs a Cobra. Elite Fleet LLC says Road King. Road King. Kelly Patterson says he's got a 3,000 watt inverter, power drive 3,000 watt inverter. We had Boots on our radios too. That really made a difference. Is Galaxy a top brand CB? That's Sean's Classic Trucks. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I recommend Walcott Radio to buy your Galaxy. They've got a really good selection. They're a really good crew in there. That's where I bought all my CB stuff. Came out of Walcott Radio. Shannon likes the Cobra. They should outlaw the ones that the Jabberjaw repeaters use. Yeah, some of that stuff can get annoying. That was why we got the big radios, so we could find our own channels. Because you couldn't stand, and some of the CB Rambos you get running through Reno, I remember, was bad for that. If you're running through Reno, you just had to almost shut your radio off because they became useless. Grilled Mortal had an old Midland that was awesome, and they made a great radio. I don't know if they still are in the radio business or not. I haven't heard that name in years. But yeah, Midland was a good radio. Yeah, John M says the Striker 2410. Chuck says major AM FM CB. But Cocality says, why don't my comments show up? This one just did. But I got to say, honestly, that some of this stuff rolls by me so quickly that I just can't catch it all. Oh, Kathy says, no, they're not showing up. So, favorite trucking company? If you could work anywhere, where would you work? Now, there's an interesting question. And I had to think about this for a while, and Kathy had to help me with this. But I had entertained the thought, like I ran on my own authority with my trailer and everything. So I didn't lease to a trucking company the last 90 years. It wasn't that long. But if I was to put a truck on and lease it to a carrier, I own it. There's a tanker outfit up here in Canada called Jade Transport. And you see their trucks at the truck shows. They're usually green, two-tone green, and they pull chemical tankers. And if I was leasing a truck on today with a carrier, I think I would probably explore Jade, just because their equipment is so sharp. They keep their equipment so nice, and they're kind of up here in my neck of the woods. So I'd have to say Jade would be my first choice. But what's your favorite carrier that you would lease on to?
Adam, thank you very much for the $2 donation, my friend. Appreciate the support.
Hey, Adam, thanks, man. Appreciate it. Jay Holster says he'd lease onto himself, which probably means his own authority, which I did, and I quite enjoyed it, and I did that for years. It was the best of everything. But if you had to go to a carrier, which one would you work for? Nobody so far has said they wanted to go to Swift. Nobody so far has said they want to go to Werner. I'm surprised. And my last question of the day, my last favorite that you get to choose from is what is your favorite uniform, for lack of a better word? What do you wear when you're trucking? Myself, jeans and t-shirt. Some guys, the old school guys, like the really old school guys, actually wore uniforms back in the day, and that was still going on when I started trucking. And I wasn't one of those guys. The one company that I had that I started with, actually, a couple of them supplied uniforms, and they wanted you to wear them, but I wouldn't do it because I didn't like them, and I thought they looked goofy and they were uncomfortable, and I wouldn't wear the old trucker uniforms that they passed out. So I was one of the first guys not to wear the uniforms at the companies back then. Just couldn't handle it. Cook Alley's just, Sierra England's his favorite one to lease onto. Million Miler. I just got hired by Smith Transport out of PA with their flex fleet, $1,800 guarantee a week before deductions. They are a really good carrier too, Million Miler. I think you've done a good job. Jordan Henson says button-up shirt and jeans, and all sorts of guys like those button-up shirts. Big Len always wore button-up shirts, dome snap shirts. But I went for the t-shirts. My buddy Richard that hauls the tomatoes likes a button-up shirt, and with the pocket, just like more of a dress shirt. And they do look sharp. You do look like a little more of a professional with a button-up shirt on. Jeans and a t-shirt with lace-up work boots. That's from Herschel. Container Guru says, you only live once, drive a Peterbilt naked. Well, that's a nasty mental picture, and I don't think I could do that to my Bostrom seat. But to each his own. I wore uniforms when I drove for the Lind Group and Harris Transportation, says Dark 688. I prefer jeans and t-shirts. Yeah, me too. That's what I go for. Just all around comfort. Don't forget the flip-flops, says Dark 688. I never wore flip-flops. Well, I'll wear them around the beach in the boat, but I sure don't wear them in the truck. No flip-flops for truck drivers. Shannon Girdle says 6 or 8 inch leather boots. After breaking my ankle in 3 different places, I know my boots saved me from worse injury. Huh. Yeah, that's a consideration, especially when you get a little older. These days, my ankles aren't what they used to be either, so I probably should move to boots. Everett says, button-up shirt or respectful shirt and jeans, no flip-flops. Agreed. It's got to be a clean t-shirt, too. You can't have oil stains all over it. It's got to be a clean, fresh t-shirt and jeans. Shannon says he wore the uniforms and jeans and t-shirts. Adam says, I have some old issues of overdrive when they talk about Brockway and Marmon trucks. Have you ever seen or driven these, and were they as cool as they look? I've seen both those trucks. I remember both those types of trucks, and I never drove either one, but man, they were something special. The Marmon trucks, everybody that can afford one wanted one of the Marmon cabovers back in the day. They were the Cadillac of cabovers. Jordan says no one has said Crocs. I'm sure somewhere there's truck drivers out there that wear Crocs, and at least they'd be easy on and off. But I don't think you'd catch me in a pair of those things. I don't know. I was just joking about the flip-flops. Terrible look for a professional driver. Dark 688. I knew you were, man. I wasn't worried about you. I knew you were kidding. Container Guru says button-up or plain t-shirt and jeans and work boots. The standard uniform, very comfortable. Riley says jeans and short-sleeve t-shirts. Million Miler says flip-flops, shame on the mess. Well, what else we got here? I guess that's about it for today. We've gone through quite a few favorites. Appreciate you guys all joining us today. Stay safe. I hope you guys all get home or are already home for Thanksgiving. The Canadian guys, we've already had our Thanksgiving, so But you guys down there, enjoy. Take the time off and take a few days and enjoy being with your family. We've learned all sorts of things today from the stream. Thank you all for joining us. We now know what the preferred uniform, CB radio, restaurant, truck stop, favorite meal. Learned all sorts of good stuff and enjoyed talking about it. Stay safe, you guys. Oh, yes, that's right. Kathy reminds me we're doing a special Thanksgiving stream from 6 to 8 tomorrow. So I hope you all join us for that. So it should be a hoot. It's just going to be a Q&A, I think. Enjoy Thanksgiving. Hope you join us tomorrow. Stay safe. Keep the rubber side down. And we'll see you on the back haul. Good night, everybody.